It's the Bulls Podcast, episode 23.
Hey, Chicago Bulls fans. It's time for your Bulls Podcast. Here are your hosts, Marcus Couch and Wyse Black.
Welcome to the Bulls Podcast, coming to you from bullspodcast.com. It's where we bring you the latest news, reviews, rants, rumors, and opinions on the players, coaches, and front office of the Chicago Bulls. My name is Marcus Couch, and with me is my co-host, Mr. Wyse Black.
Yo, what's up? What's good with all my Bull lifers, baby? I'm sure many of you have heard about the latest developments in Chicago sports news, but you know we have to give our 2 cents on the matter. So let's get into it.
This is episode 23, the Michael Jordan edition of the Bulls Podcast. We got a lot in store for you this episode, including Wendell Carter Jr. out of surgery and ready to start rehab, though we won't see him for the rest of this year. Jabari says he's ready to play 25 minutes a game. Melo is finally a Bull, but what will become of him? And we talk about the latest trade rumors surrounding the Bulls and a look ahead to this week's upcoming games. Come tank with us. We'll be back right after this quick timeout.
Bulls fans, remember to follow the show on social media at Bulls Podcast and at bullspodcast.com.
All right, we're back, and it appears Wendell Carter Jr. is out of his successful surgery on his thumb and ready to rehab. He underwent that season-ending surgery on Monday. He'll be in a cast for about 10 days and then begin to rehab that thumb while he's wearing a Sprint. Though Carter never explicitly stated his rookie season was over, the Bulls just have 11 weeks left in the regular season. They'll be in no rush to bring him back off the bench and rehab and do all that stuff. So let's just kind of take a look back. Carter's rookie season was typical, but one that featured more good than bad. It only took him a few days to replace Robin Lopez as the team's starting center, a position he didn't relinquish despite being one of the league's youngest players. He ended up averaging 10.3 points, 7 rebounds, 1.3 blocks, and averaged about 25 minutes a game. So he played multiple roles in his 44-game season, acting kind of as the third scorer at times and as an intimidator on the high post, while Markkanen and Dunn were sidelined early in the season. And as the Bulls regained their health, Carter was able to focus more defensively and work around the rim. He said, I think we had a great learning curve in those 44 games, and we'll keep learning as he's watching. This is Jim Boylan, by the way. Things will make more sense to him now that while he's watching, and it's not ideal, but it is what it is. Wendell Carter's going to soak in as much as he can the rest of the season while he rehabs that thumb, and it's Jim Boylan's hope that he'll travel with and be around the team during the final weeks of the season. Wyse, what's your take on the whole Wendell Carter Jr. injury and rehab and the season as a whole?
Unfortunately, injuries are one of the natures of sports, and you never want to see any player go down, not to mention one of your favorite players or one that you want to see grow. But looking at the half of season we all got to see from Wendell Carter Jr., I don't think there should be many people that are disappointed by his play individually. Yes, he had some downs, but he also had many ups, as you mentioned, and that's all you can ask for from a rookie prospect. I think he showcased flashes of what we saw during last year's Summer League, with nice toughness, grit, and the potential to sprout as a well-rounded big. But like I mentioned before, for me, it sucks that he has to miss an entire half a season of floor time with his running mate of the future, Lauri Markkanen. Though he may be back earlier than expected in practices, it's not the same as game time experience, if you ask me. And as far as the rest of the season, man, it just helps our tanking efforts. That's pretty much all that we're playing for right now. Of course, not the players, but us as Bulls fans, that's all that I'm focused on right now is how many games we can lose for our lottery position.
Yeah, that's true. And early on in the season, we actually thought he might have a chance at Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
I think if Luka wasn't in it and if he got to spread his wings kind of early, I think, one of the biggest things that I think was the drawback for Wendell Carter Jr.'s season is the refs seem to have his number, man. He just got so many bad calls against him. I mean, it's really too bad. But hopefully he uses the rest of the season as a learning and a studying experience to kind of learn schemes, to kind of watch things unfold, and hopefully that he's sitting next to Jim Boylan or at least some of the coaches to get a firmer grasp on what things are going on.
Yeah, one can only hope. And you mentioned Luka Doncic. That kid he's a lot better than I thought, man.
Me too.
I have to give it to him, because I did not think I would see from what Luka Doncic is doing right now. I did not think I would see that from him. But big ups to Luka, man. He looks amazing right now as a rookie.
Yeah, and I will say beyond that, of the other rookies, I'm not impressed with any of them. Any of the other guys, I'm not impressed with. Mo Bamba, who's the guy that Phoenix picked up? I forgot his name already. See, number 1 pick. We forgot his name.
You just made me forget his name.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. And then who else? Trae Young. Come on, Dunn kicked his ass the other day playing against Atlanta, so he's nothing.
I don't system well, though. I will say that.
Yeah, he
with the
does.
Players that they have, he does fit that system.
He needs a little more growth, that's for sure. But out of the other rookies, man, I'm not really impressed by anybody else that's out there.
No, I can't argue with you. Jaren Jackson Jr., I think that Wendell Carter was playing better than him. I really can't remember this kid's name in Phoenix. I'm pretty sure it's someone in the comments.
I'm looking it up. Before they start to yell, I'm not going to let you all have that number. It ain't happening. It was DeAndre Ayton.
DeAndre Ayton, of course. You know what? But he's putting up fairly decent numbers. It's just the fact that they're a sucky team. But who am I to talk?
Yeah, and then you got Marvin Bagley, who's not really doing too much. Luka, as we mentioned, Jaren Jackson, Trae Young, Mo Bamba, and then Wendell Carter. You got Colin Sexton in Cleveland. He's doing okay this year.
Okay, yeah, but look at his team. Who's the kid over there in New York, Kevin Knox? I haven't heard anything about him. So, Wendell Carter Jr. definitely would have had a good chance at winning Rookie of the Year had it, otherwise, other than the kid Luka that we're talking about.
Yeah. I will say one thing I'm looking forward to from this draft class that was just announced is next year when Michael Porter Jr. starts to play for Denver.
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
They're a hot
to see
team
him
right
play,
now,
man.
and adding him to the mix is going to be hot. That's going to be great.
I really hope that he's good. I do. I know a lot of Bulls fans may not like that, but I do hope that he comes to Chicago and he balls out.
That's true. All right, so next story here, Jabari says he's ready to play 25 minutes a game. So after missing the Atlanta game with a right patellar tendon strain, Jabari Parker went out in front of the press today and said he expects to be available against the Clippers and he wants to play good minutes. He said, I'm a 20 to 25-minute guy. 10 minutes just isn't for me. He might get his chance now that Wendell Carter Jr. is gone.
Jabari doesn't shy away from saying exactly what he feels, does he? But
yeah, well, let's see what he does in that 20 to 25 minutes.
You know what? But listen, I hear him, and what he's saying isn't necessarily wrong given the level of talent that's on this Bulls team, right? So, I totally get why he would say this from that aspect. But if Jabari were on an elite team like, of course, the Warriors, or even his former team in the Bucks, who is an elite team this season so far, I don't know if 20 to 25 minutes would be the case for him unless he were to come off the bench and be in a lineup with players who defend well. Those comments about defense that he made earlier this season had some truth to it. But nowadays with all of this sniper targeted statistics, analytics being so prevalent in the NBA, you can't expect to put up slightly above average offensive numbers and play little to no defense and think you're going to get serious minutes. So 10 minutes may not be for him, but only on teams like the Bulls. Yeah,
that's true. So that's a very good point. And by the way, this is kind of not in our notes here, but another guy that's really disappointing me this year is AB, Antonio Blakeney. I had such high hopes for that dude coming in, man. And it's just like the guy's taking the wind out of my sails. He just takes stupid shots.
He does.
And the ones that are, chip ins for him, he misses. He just tanks it off the front of the rim.
I see him do it almost every time he's on the floor. This guy, he will have someone wide open, but it's like he's like Hoodie Melo. He has no peripheral vision. All he sees is just a basket. Once that dude gets the ball, he's like, all right, I gotta shoot. And he breaks most of them.
I know. Breaks my heart, man. I had such confidence for the guy. Damn.
Yeah,
every prediction is going bad for us, Wyse. God, we should get our Bulls podcast license taken away. Oh, man. All right, y'all. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. All right, listeners, most of you are getting the show via Apple Podcasts, also known as iTunes. But if you don't have the Bulls Podcast on your sub list, make sure you go to bullspodcast.com/Apple, and it will forward you right over to our iTunes listing. You can subscribe with just one click and help out the show even further by leaving your review. Yeah, it's been a while since anybody's left a review, so please help us out by adding your own 5-star review to the show. It helps the rankings within the podcast, and it helps to bring new listeners to the Bulls Podcast. Again, that link is bullspodcast.com/Apple to get the show on iTunes. All right, Wyse, it's 5 years too late, but Carmelo Anthony is finally a Bull. That's right. The Rockets and the Bulls have completed a trade. Carmelo Anthony and draft rights to John Diebler and also $1.56 million to Chicago. They get in return, they give away the draft rights to Tahija Draganovac, whatever that is. Yeah, some guy. We don't have him anymore, so I don't have to.
He'll never play in the NBA.
Never. So they gave us a cool 1.5 mil, which is also how much they gave Jim Boylan as an extension. Thinks somebody's trying to get free money in the carpet. That's what that is.
Yeah.
So they officially announced this trade Tuesday with Carmelo Anthony, and it seems like basically the 10-time All-Star will never wear a Bulls uniform, which kind of sucks. He went to Houston after kind of being traded, and he went to Atlanta. He got traded to Atlanta from Oklahoma City, and then he got waived, and then he got picked up in Houston. And I'll tell you what, there's only one thing worse than watching your team tank like we have to, and that's watching the Houston Rockets suck with all those guys on that team. Yeah. And that's just a stunning thing, and I think Melo is kind of taking the heat for some of that stuff. Now, this is just a personal thing. I would have loved to see Melo suit up for at least one game for the Bulls, though I don't think that's going to happen. I remember a long time ago, we actually had John Starks play as a Bull for one game that I happened to be at that game. And that was against the Clippers, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the coach of the Clippers for that game. He didn't have a long coaching tenure, but that was like one of the most memorable, weird games that I ever saw at the UC.
Wow.
And they booed, the hometown crowd at the UC booed John Starks every time he touched the ball. Wow. That's not good for a home player, right?
No, you're dropping some knowledge on me. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I would love to see Melo play just one game, just to kind of, what if he dropped 40? That would be intense. But I'd really love to see that. I don't know why. What do you think about the whole situation with Melo?
Dude, it would have been super interesting. Like, we all would have jumped for joy back in 2014 had we got him then. And listen, who you know what? Who's to say that he, Derek, Noah, and Jimmy wouldn't have worked out? Like, listen,
right.
Melo coming to the team then might have stunted some of Jimmy's growth as an offensive threat, which in turn would have blocked the birth of Sassy Jimmy. He may have been just an elite 3-and-D type of player, which would have made us more well-rounded as a team, with Rose and Anthony being the offensive focal points. Jimmy, the guy who knocks down the open shots and guards the best player every night, in addition to Taj and Noah's defensive and rebounding prowess. Like, we maybe could have won a title with that squad, but Melo wanted to be money hungry, and you know what he did. So, and hey, yeah, everything that I just said is in a perfect world without injuries and good team chemistry and all that. But I guarantee you Melo would have had a better chance of winning the chip with us back then as opposed to the Knicks.
Yeah. And who we end up with that year? We ended up with Pau Gasol, right?
Pau Gasol. Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't bad as a Bull. He really wasn't. He was double-double machine every night. He was throwing up 20 and 10. So that wasn't a bad player. It's just bad chemistry, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a few things didn't work with that team. You know, like we had the injuries with D Rose. He wasn't necessarily the same. Then you had Jimmy. You know, he sprouted as a player, and he thought that, you know, he and Derrick Rose got into a little, you know, disagreement about who was the best player on the team. It just all went haywire. But man, had Melo came up over here, I think it would have been no question who was the second best player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have been Melo, because D Rose was still the best, if you ask me, even with Melo, me personally. But I'm telling you, I don't know if Jimmy would have had his chest all pumped out like that. But hey, it is what it is, man. We'll never know.
Fun to think about.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about some rumors. We got some trade rumors going on here. We've still seen this Enes Kanter for Jabari Parker thing going on.
Still.
The Knicks are pushing it heavy. For some reason, they got a stiffy for Jabari Parker. I don't know what it is. You know, I guess the biggest thing is that Kanter's got an $18.6 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to actually either find a third team to absorb him or whatever. But for the Knicks, they want Jabari because that's a flyer for next year. So if he works out and he does well for the Knicks, they'll just pick him back up again, right? Pick up that extra year. Lord knows we're not picking up that next extra year. That ain't happening.
No question. Happening.
So the Knicks right now are kind of in the same situation that we're in as far as tanking. And I instead of the ESPN trade machine, I've got a brand new favorite website called tankathon.com. And that kind of gives the stats of where we are in the tank. And right now we are at number 4 in the tank. So that could actually mean that if the balls don't flow our way when it comes the NBA draft lottery, we could end up with the 7th pick again.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
No way, man.
Yeah. So we're slated for 4. We could drop down to 7th or 8th even. And that would have been this whole tank for nothing. We'll end up with Manute Bol's kid if we end up with 8th. We'll be drafting Bol, the 7'2" guy out of Oregon.
Bol.
That's his name.
Yeah.
Bol. Anyway.
That's fun to say.
You know, I'll tell you, I don't think that we should make this trade with New York. I don't know though, maybe, but I don't think we really need Enes Kanter for anything really. Another trade another thing that I've been reading about, especially in Bleacher Report, is they're like, "Oh, you should do Robin Lopez a favor and buy him out." Why?
No,
we got him under contract. Why is it that we got to bend over for some other guys to go play for a higher up team somewhere? It just doesn't make sense why we would buy a guy out.
Yeah, did they explain more of that? Like, in what way would it benefit us to buy Robin Lopez and let him go join the Warriors?
No, they're just like, oh, it would be a cool gesture. Well, sorry, man, but
this is business, man.
That means Felicio starts? I mean, come on. What are we doing here? Well, wait a second. Maybe the tank might need Felicio.
I was going to say, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and see, now I'm starting to think, too, that Cameron Payne still is our tank commander, because if they pick him up, he might get hot and pull Cleveland out of the basement and give us a chance to get in the basement. Come on, Cam Payne. We're still rooting for you, baby. Just not on our team. Who knows?
For sure.
Anyway, that's the trade predictions. I don't really see a whole heck of a lot going on.
No. I mean, look, man, you can tell that the Knicks are pushing all the buttons to try and like eject Enes Kanter from their squad. I don't know why they're like, trying so hard to get rid of him. Maybe it's because of the overseas drama, or that they're just trying to tank super hard. Actually, yeah, I'm sure it's the latter. But they're trying to deal with the wrong team, because we're currently trying to do the exact same thing in terms of tanking. Like, I mean, I understand why getting the third team involved is pretty hard, because Enes Kanter is making that $18 million, as you mentioned, this year. And yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent next year, but a lot of the top tier teams either already have front court depth, or they don't have the cap space to pay him. Now, I would love for Jabari to get a fresh start in New York, because, his departure could get us a pick, not a great one, but, something. And it will only help us, with the tank, if we see more of Felicio than Jabari. But unfortunately, until they find a third team, we're at a standstill, at least for this deal with New York. So,
you think we could trade Jabari for a draft pick?
Yes, a second round something. Yeah.
Not a late first round?
No. Because of his that you have to pay him that $20 million. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. That's true.
It'll definitely take Garn Pax doing some great negotiating, but I mean, good luck with that.
It's true. Well, we'll have to find something for him. All right, so let's take a look at some of the games this week that are upcoming. We got the next game, which is Friday, January 25th. It's the Bulls versus the LA Clippers in the UC. That ought to be a pretty interesting game. Then you got Sunday, the Battle of the Tanks, which is going to be the Bulls versus the Cavaliers. Hopefully, Bulls, you guys can do the right thing and drop this game, unlike that game the other day where you actually beat them. I didn't like that. Tuesday, the 29th, Bulls at Brooklyn Nets. Spencer Dinwiddie's going to go off in this game. I can feel it.
He is a beast, man. Have you been watching him?
Yep.
He's balling.
I know. Good job there, Garpax. You could have got a guy for like minimum, and you let him go. Then we got Wednesday, January 30th, the Bulls at Miami Heat, and they're going to get crushed in this game as well. I could be wrong. It's just prediction. So I think we're going to lose at least 3 of those games. Our luck, we're going to actually win against the Cavs. Mm-hmm. Honestly, like I said, it's better if we lose, as we need to kind of make up some tanking ground to make sure that we're in the bottom 4 of the NBA. And it's those top 3 that all have that equal 14% shot of making the overall number 1 pick. So we're kind of at the 12.5% right now. So we could use that extra 2.5% by tanking these games. What do you think?
For sure, man. And it's good that we only need to be in the top 3. So even if we land in the 3rd spot as the 3rd worst team in the league, we still have a chance of getting, that number 1 pick. So that's pretty cool. And I mean, we could definitely use an L against the lowly Cavs, but they may be the only team in the league that is hard to lose to. Now, granted, they do have a lot of guys out, such as Love, Thompson, and a couple others. I think J.R. Smith is buried under the bench over there or something. But they like us, are a fish that rots from the top down. So, I mean, while they do have a small chance at beating us, it's not likely, man. So, I don't know.
So here's the big deal. Why we keep wanting to tank is because the top 3 guys that are going to be in this draft are going to be, let's say top 4. Zion Williamson, obviously number 1. And by the way, Wendell Carter Jr. is wanting this guy badly. Of course, every team is, but
Dukies.
Being from Duke, that's the thing. Then you got R.J. Barrett, also from Duke, small forward, 6'7", 200 pounds. Also a freshman, same as Zion. You got Ja Morant, who's a point guard at Murray State, who I kind of in the back of my head want this guy. If we can't get Zion, we got to get Ja Morant. That's just the way it is.
You would take him at 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Oof.
Yep. And then you got Cam Reddish and RJ Barrett. So you got 3 guys from Duke in the top 4 of the draft. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But yeah, I know. we got to have some kind of point guard from Murray State besides Cameron Payne that should do good on this team. We got to have one out of them. But I don't know. I'm just real impressed with Ja Morant. He's putting up 24 points a game, 6 rebounds, and almost 11 assists. And that's pretty good. And that's the point guard we need, is somebody who can put up 20 a game.
That does sound very, very impressive. My only knock against him is he's at a small school in Murray State and the division that he plays in. I don't know about the schools, that he's playing against, the competition. I don't know how well that is, because some college players do put up great numbers, but once they come into the league, they kind of don't perform as well. But I mean, I'm gonna take a look at this guy. If you vouch for him, I'm definitely gonna check him out.
So the only other guy that really caught my eye in this whole thing was Jarrett Culver, who plays for Texas Tech. He's a shooting guard, and he's averaging 21 and 10 for Texas Tech.
10 rebounds?
Yeah. He's got 5 assists a game, half a block, and 1.5 steals per game. So he's pretty good. He's a sophomore. The other guy that's out there, this is shooting guard, is Romeo Langford. He plays for Indiana. He's a 6'6" shooting guard. He averages 19 points and 6 rebounds a game. But obviously, Zion Williamson is the guy for us. That's obviously who we want. I'm more and more impressed with this guy as time goes on. Scottie Pippen even said, "Hey, Zion, you should sit out the season." And Zion's like, "I ain't sitting out. I'm going to rock. What are you talking about?" So that was a fun exchange. All right. Well, let's close it all out right after this quick timeout. Hey, folks, remember, we are on social media, so make sure you hook up with us. On Twitter, you can go to bullspodcast.com/Twitter or at bullspodcast. Join our Facebook group. It's at bullspodcast.com/Facebook. And we're also on YouTube, bullspodcast.com/YouTube. Same with Instagram at Bulls Podcast. And hey, make sure you're subscribed to the show at a minimum on YouTube, but also at Apple Podcasts, which is bullspodcast.com/Apple. Stitchers is bullspodcast.com/Stitcher, and Spotify, bullspodcast.com/Spotify. All right, that's going to do it for this episode, number 23, the Michael Jordan edition of the Bulls Podcast. Remember, you can follow Wyse Black on Twitter and Instagram at @radical_creator. You can find me on social anywhere, being YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and the like, all at Marcus Couch. Everything show related you can find at Bulls Podcast, so make sure you're hooked up to us everywhere you can be. And remember to check out our compilation website where you can get all of the Bulls podcasts from every single one of the Chicago Bulls podcasters out there. That's over at bulls.fm. And if you forget about any of these, you can check our show notes for this show and all the other shows over at bullspodcast.com. So, Wyse, what do you think?
You already know. Thank you all for continuing to support us. I say that all the time because I definitely mean it. And, man, we need some more ratings on Apple and Spotify and all of that. So you guys don't be shy to, let us know what you think about the pod. Let us know if there's ways that we can make it better for you in any way. Because, remember, we're here as Bulls fans just like you guys. So don't forget to holler at us. It's all love.
That's right. And to that one person out there that keeps putting a thumbs down on every video, one person, we get a thumbs down. I want to know, man, what's bothering you?
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Comment. Let us know. I don't care whether it's negative or positive. Just, leave your criticism, dude.
Yep. That's it. All right. Remember, Bulls fans, our magic tank number is down to just 34 more losses, and we're just 147 days away. That's June 20th, 2019. From the NBA lottery. Until next time, thanks for listening, everybody. Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Hey, Bulls fans. This is your Bulls championship announcer, Ray Clay, saying, so long, everybody. Go Bulls.